How you doing, mate? Wes has been roped in. Rob just broke his Ester mug. You're gonna have to do another paint job on her now. The weather is dire. Let's just get on with it. My dad's Mark III. Quite a healthy little CBH. Excuse my dirty face. Primer reacting wonky, wavy, rust, piece of metal fell out. Taking Maude to some drift days and crashing her into walls. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes and it's now 3 days since my last video. In my last video, I did say I was going to be going around the garage the very next day, but when I woke up the next day, it was clear that I needed a rest. You know, the way I live my life, I'm always really busy and I don't get enough rest. So I thought I'd take a couple of days out to chill out for a bit. I do kind of feel like I've wasted my week off work a little bit, but the weather has been really rubbish, so it's not so bad. And even though I was relaxing at home, it did give me a chance to catch up on some video editing and some eBay stuff that I needed to do, and also wrapping up some of your merchandise purchases. Today I had a call from Propshaft Services and they've told me that the new prop shaft for Maude, my Maude the Mk2 Escort, is ready to pick up. So the first stop today is Propshaft Services in Feltham. Alright, so that is Maude's prop shaft collected. As I mentioned in the last video, the guys at Propshaft Services told me that both of my UJs were absolutely fine. So they've just replaced the centre section, which is the main tube part of it, and they've added 25mm in length, which means it's going to be perfect for my application. They've also given the prop shaft a paint job to make it look nice, and having the prop retubed rather than completely rebuilt was a much cheaper option. I'll have a look and see if Propshaft Services have got a website or any social media accounts, and I'll leave links to those in the description of this video. Right now, I'm going to go and grab myself an obligatory McDonald's, and then I'm going to stop off at my good friend Rob's workshop because he needs a hand with something. Hello. Thank you. Thanks. All right, so we've made it to Rob's workshop. How you doing, mate?
How you doing, bud?
Which is having a bit of a makeover at the moment. He's just painted the floor and now he wants to put this TV up on the wall. And I think you were saying you want to move this shelf as well, right? Yeah. So it looks like I've been roped into a bit of labour, which is fine. All right, so the plan is to move this shelf over there and then we're going to mount the TV up there. Can't get your spirit level out. He's bought a proper bracket. It's got its own built-in spirit level. Whee! Wes has been roped into a bit of manual labour as well.
No, it's mate, like a glove.
Rob should be doing all this himself.
Can't really go wrong with that, mate.
One TV installed. So we're going to be able to watch TV while you're painting cars, yeah?
Yeah.
Rob just broke his Ester mug. I've been meaning to bring round for him ever since he done paintwork on Ester. You're going to have to do another paint job on her now before you get another mug. See, normally people will just break the handle off and then at least you can use it to sort of hold your paintbrushes in your garage or whatever, but no. Yeah, Rob broke it proper. Alright, so a few hours have passed. Been chatting to Rob and Wes and helping Rob tidy up his workshop a bit. The weather is dire, really windy, and it keeps starting to rain. I would like to get this rear arch sanded down on Maude. Now this is definitely not going to be much fun. It's going to be rock hard because it's 3 days since I put this filler on, but let's just get on with it. And the wind's blowing it all in the eyes. And there you go. Yeah, the wind's really picking up now. Before I leave here today, I want to turn my attention briefly to my dad's Mark III. Now this car is actually going for an MOT tomorrow, and the plan was to come around here today and jack the car up and check over everything, you know, check the steering joints and the bushes and that sort of thing. But with the weather being so iffy, I don't want to start the job and then it start chucking down with rain and me be laying on the wet floor. So I've basically decided to just take it for the MOT, and whatever it needs, the MOT tester will tell me, and then I can take it back down to get retested. But one thing I have noticed with this car, occasionally the throttle seems to get stuck open. So what I'm going to do quickly is whip the air filter off, and I'm hoping I can just lube up the linkage on the carb, and that will stop that issue. To be honest, the last couple of times that I started this car up, it hasn't had that issue. And before it went to Rob's workshop to be painted, I did try and spray some WD-40 at the linkage with the air filter still on, so the problem might actually be solved. But yeah, I'm gonna whip the air filter off and have a proper look. Also, it's worth noting that the issue it had when I dropped the car off to Clump Fab a couple of months ago, where it sounded like it was sort of running on free, has actually been cured just by putting a load of fuel in the tank. It was really low on fuel when I took it to Clump Fab, so I think, you know, it's just a bit of crud in the tank or whatever blocking the fuel pipe, and realistically you shouldn't ever let your car get as low as this car was. So yeah, as long as I keep the fuel topped up, that problem hopefully won't rear its head again. I think these two hold the two halves of the air filter together. I think it's just these two that hold it onto the carb. So this car is still running the Ford carburetor. I think it's a VV carburetor, I'm not sure. A common upgrade for these is to switch to a Weber, which are much better. That's something I might end up doing in the future, but this car has done about 30,000 miles, so hopefully this carburetor will be all right in the short term. But yeah, as I say, I'm just gonna spray the linkage with a load of WD-40, and that may or may not help the intermittent throttle sticking issue. Certainly seems to move nice and freely. We've actually got a K&N air filter in here. We've decided to get the one that fits in the original airbox just to keep it looking original. But yeah, quite a healthy little CVH by all accounts. Does seem to hiss after you turn the engine off, which I think is something to do with the vacuum on the servo. I'm not sure. Servo definitely looks a bit rusty. I think this is a valve, is it? And they sort of leak, or whether maybe the servo's leaking internally. The brakes certainly seem to work okay, and the pedal doesn't seem too stiff when you're driving it. I mean, I'm used to driving cars without servos, and this doesn't feel anything like that. But yeah, ever since my dad's owned it, it has made that hissing noise when you turn the engine off. But yeah, if any of you guys can confirm or deny whether that hissing sound is probably something to do with the servo, let me know in the comments. But for now, I'm going to chuck this airbox back on, and I'm probably going to get out of here soon because this weather's so unpredictable today. Always have to remove these screws and then sort of try and look through and aim it onto the holes. Somewhere there. Now, one thing I have just remembered that I haven't done is to plug the number plate lights back in. Switch the lights on. There's one. And there's two. Both the tail lights are working. Put the ignition back on, turn the lights off. Both the brake lights are working. Both the indicators are working at the back. Both the reverse lights are working. Alright, so we seem to not have a working horn. We actually fitted a set of twin horns from a Jaguar S-Type. Let's give them a tap. Do have the original horn in the boot if it comes to it. Loud, isn't it? Do we have windscreen washer jets? Yes, we do. And they work as well, and they park correctly as well. So yeah, she's definitely worth trying to put through an MOT, and we'll see how she gets on tomorrow. Alright, so back in Winston, the Plastic Fiesta for the journey home. Going to be getting home a little bit earlier than I usually would, so I can spend some time with my beautiful girlfriend Kat, which I'd like to think she'll be happy about. The weather is all over the place at the moment, which is definitely holding me back a bit in terms of what I had planned to get done during my week off work. But I haven't actually had the parts through the post from Burton Power yet for my diff rebuild. I actually forgot to order them the day that I dropped my diff off, so it's partly my fault. So yeah, Maude's going to be off the road for at least another week, so you know, there's still time for me to get the paintwork done. I'm hoping that before I go back to work in a couple of days, I'll be able to at least get some of the panels primered, which don't require me to, you know, pop the windows out and take the door handles off and stuff. In an ideal world, I'd like to pop the windows out and primer the whole car, but that will mean that I'll have to make some space in the garage so that I can put the car away, because obviously I don't want it being out without any windows in it. But yeah, we'll just have to see. It's all basically going to depend on what the weather's going to be doing over the next couple of days. The fact that I've got the prop shaft back now though does mean that if I do get a chance, I can actually put the prop shaft in the end of the gearbox, and then I can get Maude back on 4 wheels and roll her in the garage without having to worry about draining all the oil out of the gearbox. As I mentioned earlier, my dad's Mark III is going for its MOT tomorrow, so I'm going to continue this video then, so I'll see you in a sec. Into the next day, in fact it's the next evening, excuse my dirty face. Now today should have been Judgment Day for my dad's Mark III Escort. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to take it to the MOT today. The MOT tester gave me a ring earlier and said that the gas test thing was uncalibrated or something. I'm assuming he's on about the thing that they stick in the exhaust to test the carbon monoxide coming out of the exhaust. But yeah, basically that's going to get sorted in a couple of days, and then hopefully I'll be able to go down there the day after that to get the Mark III MOT'd. So because I wasn't able to MOT the Mark III, I've been cracking on with the paint job on Maude. Now when I came round here earlier, I basically took the bumper off and I needed to tickle a few areas of rust, and I put some rust treatment on, and I had a little bit more of a sand on this arch and down here. It's not perfect, but it'll look fine. The car's getting painted matte anyway. And yeah, basically I've spent the rest of the day keying up some of the panels, you know, the ones that don't require me to remove the windows. And yeah, I've just rolled on a couple of coats of white primer. And around this side I've basically done exactly the same. Managed to do the lower rear quarter and the lower part of both doors and along the sill. Now my beautiful girlfriend Kat has come to pick me up, seeing as I don't have a car to use. And yeah, while I was waiting for her, I've actually removed both screens from the car, and that's going to mean that I can crack on with keying up and primering the top half of the car tomorrow. I did have a bit of an issue with the front panel. I tried to just key it up and then put on the white primer, but it reacted really badly. Now this front panel was painted with satin black spray can after I got it back from Clump Fab. So yeah, I think the primer I've got is reacting with the satin black spray can. So what I ended up doing was basically bare metaling the whole front panel. I didn't bare metal it thoroughly, but you know, pretty much bare metaled it, and then I put some etch primer on, and I'm hoping that by tomorrow I'll be able to put the white primer over the etch primer without it reacting. But yeah, when I come to do that, I will do a little test patch first, just so I don't end up having to bare metal the whole front panel again. Now the boot lid has been removed, and that's on the trestle here in my dad's garage, and I've given that a couple of coats of the primer as well. I've basically been battling with the weather all day, having to push the car in and out of the garage every time it starts raining. And yeah, when I came to want to prime the boot, it started raining again. So that's when I pulled my dad's Mark III out the garage so that I could crack on with primering the boot in the garage. Now there are loads of spots round Maude that needs filler work. I could probably spend a couple of days just doing filler work before I even bother priming it, but I need to get this paint job done. One of the bits I'm on about is down here. I never even used filler on this area. I just used fiberglass and only sanded it down roughly. So yeah, that's really out of shape, but you know, the bottom of the rear panel is pretty much out of shape anyway. Still dented over there where I hit a cone at a drift day. I did try and bang it out a little bit today, but yeah, it's still really wonky. And yeah, on the bottom of the doors and stuff, you know, it's all wavy and stuff. The doors are pretty rotten, to be honest. Quite a bad bit of rust there. There is a couple of major dents here on the front panel, but I'm thinking that I might get one of those front spoiler things, and I think they come up to there, so that'd be covered anyway. On this passenger side front door, a piece of metal fell out today where it's gone really rusty, and just like the other side, you know, the doors are all over the place. But yeah, I basically decided to just crack on with the paint job. You know, I can always start doing bits of filler if it really bothers me, and then touch those bits in. The car's getting painted with a roller anyway, so it's easy to touch bits up if I need to. But hopefully I'll be taking Maude to some drift days pretty soon and crashing her into walls anyway, so I don't think all those little dents are going to bother me much. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Maude. I'm going to come back around here tomorrow to crack on with this job. I'm probably not going to film any of it, to be honest. I'm not really doing this job how you should do, and you know, I just need to crack on with it and get it done, because the day after tomorrow I'm going back to work, and hopefully if I've got the use of Winston the plastic Fiesta next week, I'll be able to come round during my breaks at work and actually start putting the top colour on. And as I've mentioned before, I'm not going to bother revealing the colour that Maude's going until I've actually finished the job. So for now, I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. Sorry to everyone who's been in touch with me recently because I haven't been able to get back to you when you have emailed me. It's getting crazy now. I get so many messages from people, and I do my best to get back to you. But yeah, if I don't get back to you, just drop me another email and I will do my best to reply. But other than that, until next time, from me and my beautiful girlfriend Kat, thanks for watching.